is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That's brand new stuff from Lynch Mob. The name of that tune is Dogtown Mystics. That is from the new record, The Brotherhood. And here is, on the line, one of the leaders of the Brotherhood. It is the mighty vocalist of Lynch Mob and Dio Disciples. It's Oni Logan. Oni, how are you, my brother?
Wow. That was a great introduction. Thank you so much. I don't feel worthy, but thanks. Hello, man. How are you, Chris?
Good, dude. It's good to talk to you once again. It is really, really great. And I'm going to tell you up front, I'm not just saying this to, blow your horn or anything. It is great to have this release from the Lynch Mob, which I have been telling people, I've had it for about a week. I have been telling people that it is the best Lynch Mob record since either the first or the second Lynch Mob record, man. Just a fantastic release.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're fired up about it. I mean, we're fired up as well. We can't wait to take it out on the road and take it to the people and see some smiling faces and play some new songs from the Brotherhood.
Sure.
I guess you've been playing Dogtown Mystics.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great track, one of my favorite ones with a heavy riff, a bombastic riff, and some cool vocals on there. So, we got some good ones on this one, Chris.
No doubt, man. Now, Oni, since you've been back in the band, you guys have really found, just a cool groove, at least recording-wise and writing-wise, whether it was the Sun Red Sun record or the Smoke and Mirrors record. But it's kind of, I don't want to say it's different because it's not different than, what you guys are, but it's not the early or late 80s sound either. There's more of a, I don't know, I would call it like a southwestern sound or a southern type of a metal type sound that I hear. What do you attribute that slight directional shift to from the old days?
I don't know. I think it's called growing together, having two different musicians involved regarding, the bass player, Sean McNabb, and Jimmy DeAnda. I think it's welcoming the time that we spent on the road together, listening to different music together, from the Allman Brothers to anything, Captain Beyond. George is the freak over Captain Beyond.
Right.
Hendrix, all that stuff kind of just seeps into us when we're out on the road. And, we try a few little bits in jamming, at sound check, or within the set, we'll take one song that we were doing, which turned into Miles Away, which is the, I would say it's the slow song, but most people would call it the ballad on the album, on the new Brotherhood album. It's called Miles Away. And so we would take that song and just jam on it for a while, and it developed into a song, So experimenting, being together, and when you experiment, it morphs into its own thing, and you have the Brotherhood. As far as anything different from the original sound, we're all different people, all the molecules in the air change all the time. We just only hope that people will stay along for the ride and enjoy the trip with us, So it's not a conscious, it wasn't a conscious effort to make a different sound. It just is what it is, and it came out the way it is, and all we can do is just put it out and record it and play it live, and hopefully people will follow along.
Sure. Now, Oni, you've worked with George on and off for pretty much your adult life. And it's no secret that George is a guy that will experiment a lot, and a lot of times he'll take it to different projects with, whether it's KXM or Sacred Groove or Shadow Train or whatever, he seems to have a grasp, and this is an outsider looking in, and that's what I'm trying to find out from you. He seems to have a grasp on what belongs where as far as his playing. Is it really that simple, or are there a lot of times when, you and he will collaborate and something he brings to the table might not fit what you're feeling to turn into Lynch Mob?
Oh, absolutely. He designs his guitar skills and his works that he presents to me or may present to KXM that will work for that one sound or for that individual singer. Like for myself, he would bring me something different that he would bring Doug. Mm-hmm. There's some things that he brings to me, and I'm like, well, not really feeling this one. And he'll go, okay, let's scratch that. Let's go on to something else. I'm always trying to push him in a way that, let's be a little bit more adventurous. Let's, because, George can write grooves and riffs for, till the cows come home.
Right.
That's without saying. But sometimes it takes, I'd like, for him to come out of the box a little bit and take it from another, place, from another, in the universe, take it from somewhere else and be a little bit more adventurous. So those are the things that spark me, in collaborating and writing with him, is when he's more challenging himself, and that makes me challenge myself, and it takes me out of my box, so I don't do the same, repetitive, that we don't write the same repetitive songs that we did, on the last album, or, we get known for this one sound and one sound only. I think for George and I, it's always to keep it fresh and experimental for us to keep our, relationship as songwriters going. Mm-hmm. There might have been some scuff, or there is some scuff out there. It's not the original sound. It doesn't sound the original. I get it. People like that sound, and we're there. We love doing those songs live, but we're not the same people as we were when we were, of that age when we did Wicked.
Sure.
The other albums and stuff, such things like that. So, I mean, for me and him, it's all about keeping that, the evolution of music going for us, keeping ourselves on our toes as far as being creative guys, and also, giving, the audience what they like from the past too. So, I still, dig singing Wicked, after all these years. I know, that people come to pay, to see that song, or see, She's Evil But She's Mine, mm-hmm. or, Hell Child or something like that. I still get a kick singing those songs because they're well-crafted songs, and they kick ass live. I mean, there's some nights when I'm like, damn, I know why people like these songs now. But to answer your question, it's all about the evolution of keeping ourselves, reinventing ourselves, and trying to keep ourselves happy too, because we get this great opportunity to make music still in our age. Mm-hmm. I'd say I'm quite happy to be here now doing this with George, and we're having a great time.
Sure. Now, and you mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to talk about Sean and Jimmy joining the band. I know Sean very well. Sean and I are actually pretty friendly, and I know he's a great performer, but he's an easy guy to know. And, I don't know Jimmy, but overall, it sounds like you guys built more or less a chemistry first, but it's based on the fact that these guys are mad talented as well, no?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had people come up to us at live shows after our shows, just making, mentioning that the rhythm section is just so solid. I have friends saying that, and it brings, a smile to my face because they're great guys. They play well together. They have history in the business. I mean, Jimmy DeAnda, the Bullet Boys, when he did those couple of records with them back in the day. I mean, come on, that drumming, it just, you can't get better than that kind of rock drumming groove.
Sure.
And Sean McNabb with the records that he's done in the past and how he is as a player, those guys are top-notch guys. And that makes George's job and my job a lot easier. So we can kind of just weave in and out and be, when we're in a live situation, we can take our liberties and stretch out of the box a little bit and do different things. I mean, George never plays the same solo.
Right.
Every night it's a different solo, even though, sometimes people come and expect him to play, he sticks to the bulk of the solos that were on the record, but he's always trying to stretch and do something different. And I'm always singing something different as well every night, just to keep it interesting for me. So having that foundation, with Jimmy and Sean, it's just great. It's been great for us, and we've gotten nothing but compliments over those two fellas, having them in the band.
Sure. Now, Oni, one of the tunes that I really like a lot on the record, but I was curious because it has to be real life in some way, is the tune "I'll Take Miami." I don't know if that's coming from your head or somebody else's experiences or what, but what is it about Miami, and who is that one kind of from?
Well, what inspired me was George's riff. That riff is just, it's got the honk and the tonk to it, and it's got the walk to it. And so as soon as I heard that riff when George sent it to me, I was like, damn, this has got to be a fun, just like, kick back by the beach from my childhood. I grew up in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and I used to go down to South Beach back in the day before it became real popular. And Ronnie Wood, actually, from the Stones, had a club there called Woody's. And I used to go there, coming up when I was like 17. I had this fake passport. And, I was just enjoying the whole Miami thing and doing that whole thing. And even back then, the girls were walking on the beach. Las chicas negras is what I like to call them. They were, it was just full tilt boogie and having a good time, spending sunsets out on the beach. And when I heard that riff, it just automatically connected with me, and it took me back to a place and time in my life, in the youth, and just having a good time and kicking out the jams. Basically, that's what the song is about. And I'll take Miami anytime again, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Right.
All the beautiful girls, all that stuff, kind of Van Halen kind of thing. What Van Halen did for you and I is what I wanted to do for everybody on this one song.
Very cool, man. Now, Oni, for you personally as a vocalist, and let me step back on this one. For so many guys that came up, into the public eye around the same time as you did, that sing in the higher register, they just can't do it anymore. And I'm not going to single out anybody. I'm not trying to, make you call out anybody or any of that. I'm just more curious for you, what is it that you've done that has let your voice stay as strong today as it was the first time any of us heard you? Because your voice really doesn't sound different, like you're down a register or you're pushing harder to hit notes or anything. It sounds the same pretty much as it did back in the beginning.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that compliment from you, Chris. I think I was conscious enough to not to, sing incorrectly. I used to be able to do those, those Ian Gillan screams and stuff like that when I came up and, did the first Lynch Mob album. You'll hear a few there, one or two in that album. And I noticed that, touring behind that album at a young man, it tore me up. And I figured I had to step back and reevaluate how I was approaching my voice. And if I wanted to have some career, longevity, I would have to be careful as to how I approached my voice. So, and how I sang. I think that time and becoming wiser and older has allowed me to become a better singer. I like to have my fun on the road, and I'll have my couple of beers, and I'll have my wine or what have you. But, I also have to watch myself, that I don't oversing, that if I'm not feeling, that note tonight, I'll find an alternative note, which is always fun to do. But I try to bring it to the people, when I'm in the moment, and everybody's in that, you're feeding off each other's energy,
Sure.
There's no way of getting around it. You're going to bust out, kick it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I think it was about just realizing what I was doing with my voice. I think with age, my voice has gotten better. It's gotten stronger. It isn't that in the beginning my voice was a little bit, of course, I had some higher octaves, what have you, but I don't think I've lost that many, I hope. But I think it's just about getting comfortable with yourself and trying to sing, correctly. You know,
Sure.
from the diaphragm, I warm up. I do my warm-ups. I start off in the morning. You know, I'll start off thinning out my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Thinning out your voice is something that you learn from, professional teachers, like, the vocal coach that I had, his name escapes me right now, but it's been some years since I've seen him.
Right.
But he worked on Axl's voice as well, and Axl's singing better than ever, And so, for me, it's just about, easy, take it easy, don't oversing, don't blow yourself out, don't sing incorrectly, eat well,
Right.
as much as you can out on the road. We've been doing 4 or 5 in a row.
Wow.
And one day off, 4, 5 in a row, so it gets pretty taxing on the voice. But knock on wood, I'm still alive and I'm still kicking out the jams.
No doubt, man. Well, Oni,
Yeah.
In addition to doing Lynch Mob, I'm not going to ask you a bunch about this, but you're also one of the touring vocalists with the Dio Disciples, and I have to imagine for you it's kind of a weird gig because of sharing the vocals with the hologram, more or less, and I mean, I understand it, but is it a weird gig for you to be up there doing the singing and then stepping aside for almost like a video to play and then you're back in and, explain that to me, how that works for you, I guess, because it's in my head trying to picture it. It just seems like it might be a weird gig.
Well, I've only done it once. I've only had the experience once, and that was at the Wacken Festival in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to do that, and of course, out of labor of love for Ronnie, because I knew the man, and he was a friend of mine. He was, he was one of the first people I met when I came to LA when I was,
Mm-hmm.
25. I feel it's a family thing. When they had asked me to do it, and I said yes, I'll do it. And of course, the second singer is Tim Ripper Owens. Initially, it started off with just performing in, the classics of Ronnie and going to Mexico and touring with Nazareth and doing dates, doing a tour here. I didn't imagine that it would turn into a hologram that was presented to Wendy and Niji Management Company.
Right.
And it just seems that it's taken a natural course into the future as far as keeping Ronnie's legacy alive. If you can remember back in the day, he would be in the, before the show, he would appear in the crystal ball before the band would hit the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So he was all about magica. He was all about the idea of entertainment, meaning, visual aspects, come on, fighting the dragon,
Right.
with a sword on stage. He was all about that, he loved entertainment. So I don't think it's a far reach to say that he, that he wouldn't have, that he wouldn't have approved. I mean, he was a proud man.
Mm-hmm.
He was an artist first and foremost, and he also was an entertainer. And I think this is just a way of keeping his legacy alive, his music alive for a younger generation to discover. And because we're friends and family, we're family, we try to do our best to keep his music alive. As far as me sharing the stage with the hologram, it doesn't necessarily bother me, as long as it's done right and it looks cool and everybody's having a good time, and sharing a good time and the energy's good. I'm all for it, know?
Do you think, and this will be probably the only hard question I ask, but do you think,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'll put it this way. You're I'm sure as aware as I am that there are a lot of people that will say it's disrespectful, let the man rest in peace, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that the reason for that is because Ronnie was so iconic? I mean, most people, if you tell them to list their top 10 vocalists in metal ever, Ronnie's in the top 2, 3, 4. And
Absolutely.
And it just comes, I almost wonder, me outsider looking in, it's like, all right, you know, the guy had his run and he was amazing, but you know, now we're keeping on to something that is not what it was. But you're closer to it. You see what I mean? And do you A, understand why people feel that way? And I'm going to assume that you don't feel that way or you wouldn't be a part of it. But do you feel that people are just unjust to think that?
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. You know, I mean, for me, I just say, look, you know, it's entertainment. It's keeping his music alive. So what's wrong with that?
Right.
You know what I mean? To me, that's how I feel about it. It's about keeping his music alive and about keeping him in the public's eye for other, like I said, generations to discover. I mean, the man his arms reached globally wide, and I don't think it should go away. I think his music should live on forever. I think it should go to the moon, you know? I think his music I think it should last forever because he was such a dynamic and a great artist. I mean, you know, when I discovered Rainbow, that was it for me. I mean, I ordered that album through Columbia House Post, and I got that, and they were my answer to Led Zeppelin when, you know, Zeppelin took a break for a while. I just thought the world of Ronnie James Dio. So,
Sure.
You know, for me, it's all about keeping his name and legacy alive, his music alive. You know, we're doing stuff from his past, you know, from the Rainbow albums, Gates of Babylon, you know, we're doing Stargazer, all that stuff that should never go away. If we didn't have this vehicle, being, you know, Craig, you know, and Simon and his, you know, Scott Warren, the band, the original band, plus, you know, trying to incorporate something futuristic to it and having Ronnie on stage to bring back some smiles and memories, you know, it would all just wither away, and we would never hear back. We would never get anything back, you know, from, you know, that type of music. I mean, because face it, I mean, who makes great music like that these days?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Certainly, man. Well, Oni, it's always a pleasure talking to you, man. Where can people go online to find out, you know, where you're going to be with Lynch Mob and getting the Brotherhood, and where you're going to be with Dio Disciples, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, Chris, everybody can go to our social media, the Lynch Mob on Facebook, or to my Oni Logan official fan page or personal page. I'm going to post some dates up today, as a matter of fact, so everybody will be able to see what's going on for the next 2 or 3 months.
Cool.
You know, I'll be doing, you know, we're pushing, you know, the Brotherhood, and, you know, we're going to be going out on the road, so just keep an ear out for us. Come to the show, have a good time, and that's basically it for now. I mean, we're around. We're going to be hitting it hard. We're hitting the stage here soon, and you know, we hope to see you out on the road. Where are you located, Chris?
I am in Cleveland.
Okay, so I think we may be making it up there sometime soon.
Very cool.
Come to the show.
Oh, I will come. I'll definitely be there, man. No doubt. But all right, Oni. Well, as we said, the name of the album is The Brotherhood. It is Lynch Mob. And as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new record, maybe tell us a story about it. So what would you like us to wrap this one up with?
Yeah, I'd like to wrap this up with, I think this song that I'm choosing right now is a song titled Miles Away, and I think it might be the third video that we might be doing for it. It's some people would call it a ballad. I call it a slow number. It's got some meaning to me because of how fleeting by life is, and how we see our friends and family, and, you know, as we age together, and, you know, it's basically to appreciate everyone that we have around us, and to note that life is fleeting by, not to be a downer, but also it's about a song of being on the road. You know, so many miles written on my face, you know, this kind of thing. I mean, It's not easy being out on the road. You know, Bob Seger said it well in the song Turn the Page.
Sure.
So this is my little Turn the Page for the Brotherhood and Lynch Mob, titled Miles Away.
All right, let's check it out right now. It's brand new Lynch Mob right here on your Classic Metal Show.